Fighter 6.
You win!
It's here. If you consider an undisclosed date in 2023, here. A little hyperbole never killed anyone, did it? Capcom has finally decided to give us a full look at Street Fighter 6 after teasing us with what we now know to be the protagonist of this new game, Luke, as the final DLC character of Street Fighter 5. It's been 6 years since the release of 5, and it's been even longer since anybody has been this excited for a Street Fighter project. 5 hasn't always had the best reputation, but it lasted as long as it did because the devs really started to pour some love into it as it was coming to an end. Gone are the days of the 90s where new titles seemingly found their way into arcades every 15 minutes. And that's not even including the non-Street Fighters. With the internet at our disposal, we no longer have to purchase a plane ticket to face off against each other, and developers can endlessly provide new content to keep the game fresh as long as players are willing to shell out the cash. But it still took a couple of years for Street Fighter V to come around in the eyes of the general public. Street Fighter is one of those pillar franchises that come to mind anytime the words video and game are next to each other. Franchises that are somehow still around, but only feel like coming out once a decade or so. This franchise is as old as time. You think modern releases are expensive? Every round of Street Fighter 2 used to cost you a whole quarter. How does this lever work? Why are these buttons so damn big? All this is to say that when a new Street Fighter comes out, it's a big deal, and Street Fighter 6 is really shaping up to be an exciting and passionate project from the dev team over at Capcom, which is a breath of fresh air when you compare it to the launch of its predecessor. Street Fighter V was the embodiment of free-to-play levels of content under a full AAA price tag. Kind of reminds me of another popular franchise that recently crawled out of the graveyard. But Capcom is coming out swinging with brand new character designs, a complete rework of gameplay mechanics, and this dramatic shift in the art style. Now, as much as I would love to dive into all of these exciting new reveals, I need to put into perspective just how much of a catastrophe Street Fighter V was. Why exactly am I going to spend this time talking about Street Fighter V first? Just something build up and payoff, I don't know, I always got C's in English. Back in the ancient times of 2014, Street Fighter 4 tournaments were growing in size after its final version released, and fans were eagerly waiting for the newest entry. By that point in time, it was also 6 years since Street Fighter 4 originally launched in 2008. Rumors and leaks of a sequel popped up on the internet that started drumming up a lot of interest. A couple of trailers and underwhelming playable betas later, and Street Fighter V shipped on February 16th, 2016 to critical acclaim. No, Street Fighter V was a $60 paperweight with a disc on the inside. It launched with 16 characters, of which most people weren't that keen on the new designs, and a ton of the fan favorites were missing. It had a semi-functioning online component, a story that barely qualified as a game mode, no arcade mode, in a fighting game in 2016, and the promise of DLC and new modes to come at a later date. You see where this is going? Street Fighter V was a failed product from top to bottom. This doesn't even cover the fact that the changes Capcom made to the core gameplay left fans feeling that it wasn't as fun or interesting as previous entries. It's almost as if releasing a half-baked game, barren of any content, devoid of a single ounce of style, would end up with an underwhelming reputation.
That's what I expected.
Damn, even the announcer agrees. Capcom never stopped supporting the game, however. Year after year, new DLC characters were released with increasing levels of hype, and new additions to the gameplay and fighting mechanics slowly started to shine the game in a new light. But that initial reputation that it earned on release day has tainted every corner of the game since. Which leads us to the recent announcements. Oh, holy shit. Oh my god, it's so pretty. Chun-Li! This game is beautiful. Listen to that soundtrack. Ooh, the hits sound so meaty. What the hell is that? Is that World Tour mode? Get the hell out of town. A real single player. Alright. Let's start from the beginning. The initial 40-second teaser that they released back in April, I think, left me full of questions and a little cautious. Street Fighter has never looked this realistic before. Quotation marks the size of fucking Texas around the word realistic. This is a whole new style for Street Fighter. Since jumping to 3D, the franchise has always leaned on its anime-esque roots, and when it comes to the visuals, 4 and 5 definitely share some DNA, but 5 is sort of, how do I put it, stale. The individual components like the soundtrack, graphics, and art style, they're all really well done, but they don't come together in a memorable way. When you compare Street Fighter V to an earlier title like Alpha 3, for example, you can really tell the difference. Alpha 3 feels like one whole experience, big bombastic tracks that make you feel the tension in a match with an over-the-top announcer to get your blood pumping. Even something as simple as the font is loud and colorful and really in your face. It's clear from these Street Fighter 6 reveals that the devs are well aware that the series has been lacking in the style department. Presentation is something that has been woven into Street Fighter's DNA from the very beginning, if we consider Street Fighter 2 the beginning. This reveal loudly puts the style and aesthetic on display for everyone to see. Street Fighter 6 is in your face. Classic characters are getting redesigns that feel fresh but still feel right. There seems to be an emphasis on hip-hop, which hasn't been the case since Third Strike all the way back in 1999. There is a drunken master breakdancer. Come on, everything from the UI to the character select screen wants to grab onto your eyes and not let go. Holy shit, they fixed the logo! It's a cohesive aesthetic that seeps into every aspect of the game, not just a bunch of individually good-looking and sounding components. There is a fine line between something that is competent and something that's memorable. Even the announcer's back to yelling at you to kick the other person's teeth in. I haven't even mentioned the gameplay yet. I think that Capcom has finally caught on to the fact that these aren't arcade games anymore. It only took them a decade and a half. All they usually have to offer is an obligatory arcade mode with a light dusting of story context, and maybe you get to beat up the car this time in the bonus round, maybe you don't. The main focus is always on online play and training mode. For the most part, Street Fighter has struggled to move past just being a tool to beat someone's ass since jumping onto consoles. Never putting too much emphasis on the single-player aspect or offering a complete fun package outside of the versus mode. Not everyone is going to be interested in training day and night to be the best when they boot up a fighting game. Some people just want to play a fun video game, and the sky's still blue, Mortal 11. Street Fighter 2 might have birthed the fighting game as we know it, but Mortal Kombat and by extension NetherRealm Studios have been the kings of single-player content when it comes to modern fighting games. Jesus Christ, I can still remember renting this disc from a Redbox kiosk. Content, fun, side modes, fuck, even in arcade mode at launch, NRS has weaponized replayability to an almost scary degree, and Capcom has finally decided to take notice. A brand new World Tour mode was shown off where it looks like you'll be traveling across the globe as a custom fighter to take part in some larger story. Wait, hold on, World Tour mode? Haha, World Tour! Somebody on the dev team has good taste. The directors of the game have stated that you'll even learn all about the new fighting systems throughout the adventure. This is a great way to get new players comfortable with the game. The new drive system basically combines the core mechanics of all the last few Street Fighter games into one fancy new meter that dictates your offense and defense. It looks like there's a constant risk and reward in matches, and there's never going to be a clear answer for everything. This is what's been missing from Street Fighter. The past couple of entries have tried desperately to look to the past and replicate the good times that were had back in the day. For once, Capcom is looking towards the future to see where this classic series can go. I cannot express how excited I am for Street Fighter 6. If this game provides value up front with new and engaging gameplay mechanics, and it's all wrapped in a slick, stylish bow, this could be a slam dunk for Capcom. They can't afford to streamline this game like they did with 5. Dumbing down a game's mechanics has never resulted in bigger profits or a wider player base. In the long run, it only serves to leave behind an iffy legacy and pisses off loyal fans that, at the end of the day, just want a fun game. What really sells fighting games is the characters, the aesthetics, the holy shit moments that come from pulling off something crazy. This game has so much potential, and it really looks like a new kind of experience that fans have been waiting for. One that I've been waiting for. I even convinced myself to buy one of these godforsaken. How?